I'm Saliu Eric Oshiomole. I represent the people of Edo North in Edo State. Mr. President, with profound respect, I'd like to lend my support to this proposed amendment. I'm very clear it does not in any way violate the Constitution of Nigeria, and its objectives are also very clear and unambiguous. Namely, that we shouldn't spend too much time in the judicial process to resolve the issue of who is a valid candidate should there be dispute arising from primaries. Number two, that it is unfair, even as hard as the Supreme Court has tried to do to admonish lawyers and litigants not to approach courts of coordinate jurisdiction on a matter, yet both litigants and even worse, lawyers, including senior advocates, have continued to indulge in this, even as the Supreme Court continued to denounce them. I think the essence of this intervention is to now make it unlawful for anyone to attempt to do so. The only thing I am not sure, having not gone through clause by clause, and even if I do, I'm not a lawyer, is that there should be penalties, because you don't waste the time of courts. Because regardless of what we do here, somebody will approach the court, it will require the court to now interpret this section to dismiss any frivolous application. Maybe, sir, subject to the views of those who are learned and who understand how the judicial system works, that where anyone attempted to breach this law, it should attract huge penalty. So that the time of the judges that you wasted and the anxiety you created, when you suffer huge financial hemorrhage as a result of this rascality, I believe many lawyers will abstain from taking cases to courts, knowing fully well that it will be a clear violation of this law. I want to thank you, sir, that under your leadership, we are strengthening all the gaps that we can foresee in our electoral system, so that under your leadership, it will be said that the Third Senate eliminated all the gaps that had created problems in pre-election matters, such that we had cases, sir, where decisions as to eligibility or who is the actual candidate that an election was not resolved until a week to the election, or even some cases after the election. So I think that, distinguished colleagues, this is something that is of public interest. It is something that is in our enlightened self-interest, and this is something that is in the interest of quick dispensation of justice. The other section which they have mentioned is not novel. That is to say, in the case of dispute on presidential candidature, primaries or presidential candidature, I think it is consistent with the fact that where there is a dispute about a presidential election, the first jurisdiction is the Court of Appeal. It doesn't start from a tribunal at the lower level. It goes to Court of Appeal and then finally the Supreme Court. I think this amendment again is intended and is comfortably aligned with that aspect of the law as it exists at the moment. Mr. President, I want to thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I think this amendment is very apt and straightforward. And I'm not sure that there is anybody here who will be opposed to this amendment, because those of us here, majority of us have experienced this duplication of judgments and court orders and the delay. And given that election matters, like they say, is sui generis and time-bound, I think the earlier that we clarify courts of competent jurisdiction to preside over disputes arising from the electoral process, the better for all of us. I know that we've just amended the Electoral Act, but the Electoral Act, like all such documents, are live documents, and therefore subject to amendment especially timely enough to affect what we are undertaking here. So, Mr. President, I think all of us should support the second reading of this amendment bill and, of course, carry it out expeditiously so that it doesn't impede the process that we are undertaking now in 2026, 2027. So, Mr. President, I support the second reading of this bill because Nigerians need to contribute, Nigerians need to know what law is guiding them in the electoral process. I so support, Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues. That this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act 2026 to provide for a jurisdiction for pre-election matters and for later matters 2026, SB 1035, second reading taken. The bill is now committed to the Committee of the Whole for immediate consideration in view of the timing. Leader of the Senate.
I move that the Senate do resolve into a Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Is to provide for a jurisdiction for pre-election matters and for later matters, SB 1035. Electoral Act 2026 Amendment Bill 2026, Clause 1. Those in support that Clause 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 2, those in support that Clause 2 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 3, those in support that Clause 3 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Interpretation Clause nil. Short title in Clause 4, those in support that this stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedules nil. Explanatory memorandum nil. Long title. Those in support that the long title should stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.